You know, Alex, I remember the first time I walked into a leather supply shop, I felt like a tourist who had accidentally wandered into a high stakes surgery. All these specialized knives that looked like they belonged in a medieval dungeon, and the prices, I thought they were accidentally adding extra zeros to the stickers.
I mean, let's be real. It's cowhide, Tiger. How complicated can it be? You cut it, you poke some holes, you call it a belt.
That's what I thought. Then I tried to cut a straight line with a kitchen utility knife on a piece of 5-ounce chrome tan. It looked like a topographic map of the Swiss Alps by the time I was done. It turns out leather is a living material, or it used to be, and it's got a personality. If you don't treat it right, it fights back.
Is that why your first bespoke wallet looked like it had been chewed on by a very determined golden retriever?
Hey, that was distressed aesthetic before it was cool. But seriously, if you're looking to get into this, you don't need a mortgage-sized budget. Most people think they need the $300 maul and the hand-hammered Swedish steel swivel knife right out of the gate. You don't. You just need to know which corners to cut, literally and figuratively.
Okay, let's start with the skin itself. I keep hearing veg tan and chrome tan. It sounds like a choice between a salad and a chemistry set. What are we actually talking about here?
It's essentially the soul of the project. Veg tan, vegetable tan leather, is the old school stuff. They use tannins from tree bark. It's stiff. It smells like a library full of old books. And most importantly, it holds a shape. If you want to stamp a cool floral design or a skull into it, veg tan is your canvas.
And the chemistry set?
Chrome tan. It uses chromium salts. It's much faster to produce. It's softer. And it's usually what your car seats or that fancy leather jacket are made of. But here's the thing for beginners. Try to stamp a design into chrome tan, and it'll just spring back like a memory foam mattress. It's great for bags that need to drape, but if you're starting out with basic tooling, veg tan is the way to go.
So, if I'm at the store, how do I not get fleeced? Because some of those hides are huge. Do I really need to buy the whole cow to make one keychain?
Definitely not. Look for what they call shoulders or belly scraps. A single shoulder is a great middle ground for quality versus cost. The belly's a bit more stretchy and uneven, which makes it cheap, but it's perfect for practicing your cuts without feeling like you're burning money every time the blade slips.
That looks suspiciously like a pizza cutter, Tiger. Are we making a pepperoni wallet?
Close. It's a rotary cutter. Honestly, for a beginner, this is a lifesaver. Cutting a long, straight line with a hobby knife is like trying to ice a cake during an earthquake. The rotary cutter keeps the pressure even, but if you want to get fancy, and eventually everyone does, you have to meet the swivel knife.
Ah, the one tool you told me makes grown men cry. Why the drama?
Because it's like learning to write with a pen that has a mind of its own. You hold it with your index finger in a little cradle on top, and you spin the body with your thumb and middle finger while you pull it toward you. It's awkward as heck the first time. Your hand will cramp in muscles you didn't know you had. But once you get that finesse, as the pros call it, you can carve lines that look like flowing water.
So it's the gateway to those elaborate Western floral patterns I see on saddles?
Exactly, but before you get to the art, you have to master the casing.
Casing, like a sausage?
No, though I wouldn't mind a snack right now. Casing is just a fancy term for dampening the leather. You can't just stamp dry leather. It won't take the impression. And you can't work with it soaking wet, or it'll turn into mush. You want it just damp enough that the surface starts to return to its original color, but it feels cool to the touch. That's the sweet spot where the fibers are open and ready to hold a design.
Okay, so we've got the leather wet, we've carved our lines, now we just beat the living daylight out of it?
Pretty much. But with a maul, not a hardware store hammer. A metal hammer will mushroom the heads of your leather tools and eventually ruin them. A poly or rawhide mallet absorbs some of that shock and saves your tools.
I've seen those stamps. There are hundreds of them. Do I need the whole library to make something look decent?
Not at all. If you have a beveler, which creates depth, and maybe a veiner or a cedar, you can do a ton. The beveler is the real worker, though. It's what makes the design jump off the surface. You're essentially mashing down the leather on one side of your cut line to create a 3D effect. It's incredibly satisfying. It's like the adult version of those paint by numbers kits, but with more hitting things.
Speaking of satisfying, I saw you earlier using a little wooden stick on the edge of a piece of leather. It looked like you were trying to start a fire by friction.
That's a burnisher. That's how you get those edges looking like polished mahogany instead of a frayed piece of cardboard.
It's just friction? No magic glue?
A little water or some gum, tragacanth helps, but yeah, it's mostly heat and pressure. You're essentially melting the fibers together. It's the difference between a project that looks like a middle school craft and something people actually want to buy.
Let's talk about the part that scares me. The sewing. I can barely thread a needle to fix a button. Dealing with leather looks like a whole different beast.
It is. You aren't just pushing a needle through. You'd need superhuman strength for that. You have to prep the holes first. Most beginners should grab a set of pricking irons or stitching chisels. You hit them with your mallet, and they punch perfectly spaced diagonal slits through the leather.
So then you just sew?
Well, we usually do a saddle stitch. It uses 2 needles on one long piece of thread. The needles pass each other in every single hole. It's the strongest stitch known to man. If one thread breaks, the whole thing doesn't unravel like your favorite sweater. It stays locked.
That sounds tedious. How long did it take you to sew that messenger bag you're always carrying?
About 3 podcasts and a bottle of ibuprofen. But there's a zen to it. Once you find the rhythm, your hands just move. It's very meditative until you realize you've sewn the pockets on the wrong side.
Please tell me you didn't.
Oh, I did. I was so focused on the perfect stitch that I didn't notice I'd actually sewn the bag shut. I had to sit there with a seam ripper for an hour, reconsidering every life choice I'd made up to that point.
So, if someone is sitting at home right now, wanting to dive in, what's the starter kit without the starter regret?
Don't buy the everything in a box kits you see online. Half those tools are junk you'll never use. Get yourself a good utility knife with snap-off blades. Always keep it sharp. A dull blade is a dangerous blade. Get a poly mallet, a basic set of stitching chisels, 2 needles, and some waxed thread. For leather, find a scrap pack or a small veg tan shoulder.
And the first project, don't say a saddle.
Start with a keychain or a simple card wallet. Something with straight lines. You want to practice cutting, casing, and that saddle stitch. If you can make a square piece of leather look halfway decent, you're already ahead of the curve.
It seems like the biggest hurdle is just the fear of ruining the material. It feels so final once you cut it.
It is. But that's the beauty of it. Leather is incredibly forgiving for a lot of things, but it demands your attention. It's not like wood where you can wood putty a gap. But when you finish a piece and you feel that smooth burnished edge and you see that stitch line looking like a row of perfect little soldiers, there's nothing like it.
Plus, it smells better than sawdust.
Well, don't tell the woodworkers I said this, but a workshop that smells like leather and beeswax beats a wood shop any day of the week.
Final thoughts for the newbies, Tiger, before they go out and spend their paycheck at the leather store?
Just remember that every master was once a disaster. That beautiful patina everyone wants, that comes from time and use. Treat your first few projects as learning expenses. If the holes aren't perfectly straight or the dye is a bit splotchy, don't sweat it. You're building a skill that's been around since we lived in caves. There's something deeply human about taking a piece of hide and turning it into something that will last longer than you will.
Deep thoughts from the man who once accidentally glued his own hand to a belt.
Hey, that glue was professional grade.
Fair enough. Well, listeners, go find some scraps, get a sharp blade, and try not to sew your project shut.
See you in the shop.